pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting of the East Troy School District Board of Education and all other meetings of the board are open to the public in compliance with state statute. Notice of the meeting has been sent to the media and/or has been publicly posted in an attempt to make the citizens of the district aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Make the motion to approve the agenda as posted.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's approved. And we have the meeting minutes from September 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from September 25th, 2023.
I'll second it.
Any discussion, changes? All right. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Public participation. Is there anybody that would like to speak tonight? Okay. Move on to the financial report.
I move the approval of September 2023 payments in the amount of $2,009,685.05 and receipts in the amount of $838,282.59 as reflected on the financial statements. I'll second it.
All right, discussion, questions?
Can we just call out the key revenues that were noted here for everyone?
Sure. The financial report lists some key revenues for the month of September. One was $17,043 that we received for a safety grant. That revenue was actually booked to the last fiscal year of 22-23. It was for a project to do digital maps of all the buildings. So it helps our buildings and grounds department as well. All the maps were provided to first responders. So an extra level of safety that the first responders would have detailed blueprints of all the buildings if needed. Another revenue was equalization aid. This was our first payment of the year in $666,391. And then the last key revenue listed for September was interest. Continues to be one of the largest receipts of the month, and that was $42,576.26 that was received in interest in September. The cash balance that earns interest is largely due to the sufficient fund balance as well as the surplus from the previous year. The tax dollars that will come, additional tax dollars from the referendum and tax dollars in general aren't started to be received until mid-January. We received taxes in January, February, and then August. So we haven't received that cash as of September.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor of approval of the financial report for September, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion action items. First one is staffing recommendations.
We don't have any at this time.
Okay, approval of donations.
Yeah, there's three within your packet. I'll go through all three, and if you want to just approve all of them together, separate, it's up to you. But the first one, I'd like to recognize the True North organization. This is the Giving Pump, from the Giving Pump Initiative, which is the Shell Station. And so it's $300 that they would like to donate through that initiative to the East Troy Community School District. So that's the first one. The second one is from Plymouth Tube Supply Company, and that is that they would like to donate $100 for families in need. And the last one is from David and Sarah Banks, and they are graciously donating $1,250 to the East Troy Community Schools. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you to all three groups for their kind donations towards helping various parts of the school district.
Does the All Sports Booster Club one have to be included too, or?
I
I see
was
that
just
was in the
gonna-
back of the
Yeah,
packet.
I was gonna do that as an informational.
Okay.
Yep, you bet.
I'll make a motion to approve and accept the donations with gratitude.
I'll second.
All right, all of in favor, say thank you.
Thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries. Setting of the 23-24 tax levy and 23-24 district budget.
Yes, I can talk about the tax levy proposal. So during the end of September and beginning of October, all the way through October 13th, we receive final numbers. We do our pupil count, open enrollment is finalized. The property failures, we receive the final numbers, as well as state aid is received on October 13th. After all those things impact the revenue limit, the final tax levy can be set. This year, the final proposed levy is $17,589,923. This is a 12.08% increase over last year's levy of the $15,693,870. This is the first year with the operational referendum that passed in April. This allows the district to exceed state set revenue limits by $3 million each of the next 3 years. And again, it's reflected for the first time in our revenue limit this year. Other factors that significantly impact the tax levy are the increased property values. As we mentioned at the annual meeting, they increased 20%. As well as state aid. The taxpayers received a really nice gift on October 13th. It's Friday, October 13th, their state aid came out. This district is receiving almost $1 million more than our July estimate. And as you know, our revenue limit is made up of tax levies and state aid. An increase in state aid doesn't mean there's more money in the overall budget. It just means that we don't have to take as much from the tax levy bucket because the state aid is making up a larger portion of that revenue limit. So therefore, our total tax levy as well as the mill rate are lower than presented at the annual meeting. Last year, the mill rate was 7.29. This year, it's now 6.79, so it's 38 cents lower than presented at the annual meeting. A large reason for that is one, state aid, so we don't have to levy as much. Another reason is the increase in property values. Since there's more property value, the mill rate is lower. And again, the mill rate is 6.79, so that means for every $1,000 in property value, you'll pay 6.79 in taxes to the district. So a $100,000 house would pay $679. Another thing that I should mention, in the 2023-25 biennial state budget, the state approved like $590 more million for something called the school levy credits across the state. These are not channeled through the district, however, they do appear on all the tax bills, so there should be a larger school levy tax credit as well, which will lower the overall tax impact. Let's see. And again, I just want to reiterate, unfortunately, more state aid does not mean the overall budget of the district increases. Our actual full revenue limit decreased $45,826 after all the numbers were finalized, which includes our pupil count was down slightly, I think 8 FTEs. However, we have declining enrollment exemptions, which kind of counter that. The exception just changed. So the biggest impact was, of course, the state aid as well as the vouchers to that revenue limit. I also like to say the increase for state aid, part of the reason was because of our surplus this previous year. The general aid uses a formula, so there's primary aid, secondary aid, and tertiary aid. For districts that have high property values, that tertiary aid, the third level is actually negative. So since we spent our previous year, we received less negative aid, which that had a huge impact on our state aid this year too. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do to defer costs. We had a lot of turnover last year too, which is hopefully not the case going forward. So it's a benefit this year, but unfortunately, there's no guarantees that will happen again in future years. Even though the revenue limit came out a bit lower, a lot of things were finalized. Our grant allocations, we worked on the grant budgets, the expenses, as well as overall staffing. Some items were able to be moved into different funds, as well as just finalized, and we were able to put in a little bit more grant revenue in the budgets. So overall, the overall budget, this is all funds. The expenses are $29,650,670.60. This did not change from the annual meeting. The overall budget is the same, just the tax levy went a bit lower. Does anybody have any questions or like more explanation on anything?
What was our enrollment? What was the final enrollment?
Yeah, it's in the packet, but we'll go over that later, and I think,
Yeah, I thought I saw it. I think we went down a little.
yeah, Amy's report later on,
Okay,
it decreased slightly.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So just, obviously people might see the tax levy rate from last year being at 15.6, like Amy said, and now seeing that the final tax levy tonight for a vote is 17.5. I'd just like to remind people, right, there was a $3 million operational referendum passage approved by the community last April of 2023, which is obviously contributing to the tax levy increase. That's the component, right? So, but yet, if people really look at it, they might say 15.6, it's 17.5. Yes, that's the good news that we're saying about from the night that Amy's talking about, and that is, you would think it'd be 18.6 with the 3 million, but because of the state equalization, general aid increase, right, because of the negative tertiary, the increase in property values, and our lower spending last year, which came at, good and bad, right? It assisted us for more aid. The bad is how we underspent last year. Why, right? Because of the high amount of staff turnover and having to delay some line items. But in the end, it's equated to a 17.5 tax levy, not even the 18.5. So I think that's just really important to denote. And then, like, again, I don't think it can go enough stated that 7.29 mill rate last year, right, per thousand. And right now, for the new tax levy, the mill rate is 6.79 per thousand.
All right, any other questions, or somebody like to make a motion? Well, I'll make a motion to approve the total tax levy of Fund 10 of $15,494,239, the Fund 39 for $1,743,175, and Fund 80, $352,509 for a total tax levy of $17,589,923, and approve the 23-24 budget as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? Okay. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approval of a traffic flow study for the East Troy Middle School.
Hello?
All right.
How's everybody doing?
Good, Jake.
hopefully. Hi. The start of the school year, we received some calls, and I'm sure this has been kind of an ongoing thing for a while. Anybody who's had children that attend the middle school know that the mornings can get a little wild. Afternoons, from what I understand, are a lot easier to manage. So I reached out to a company called Traffic Analysis and Design. They were referred to me by some of my colleagues in the Buildings and Grounds Director's realm, and asked them to potentially come out and do a traffic study here. Part of what they're going to be doing is checking for pedestrian flow, buses, and parent drop-off. Now, I apologize for the crudity of this map or this picture here behind you, but I did the best I could with it with my shaky hands. But so the yellow line would represent kind of your bus flow, how they drop off in the morning at the high school, come across Graydon, and then drop off in the front of the middle school. I'm not sure if you can see the blue lines all on there, but that is all pedestrian, so all walkers. And then your red lines is, the red line is your parent drop-off. One of our major areas of concern is this point here, this crosswalk that comes across from the high school student lot, and then where they have to cross from this sidewalk over to entry 3 at the middle school. With the amount of traffic that comes in and out of there, so you have parents that are turning both east and west on Graydon. You have the buses trying to come across Graydon into the middle school parking lot, and then on top of that, you have kids crossing and trying to get over to your building. Again, anybody who's been there to witness it knows that it can kind of get a little dicey. So part of what they're going to do, what this company does, is I'm sure many of you have seen those traffic data collection things. It's that rubber strip that goes across the road, has a box that's kind of monitoring traffic patterns, how many people are coming through at a certain time of day, that sort of thing. So what they'll do is they'll set those up. It captures the information in 5-minute intervals, and then they come and collect those boxes and review what they collected, or what information was collected. After they've reviewed that, they come and do a physical visit to the site. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll fly a drone and they'll video the peak drop-off and pickup times to kind of see where the hangups are and where the improvements can be made. So again, they're looking at everything from pedestrians, bike riders, cars, and bus traffic. After they do that, they give you 2 different modifications that you could make to your current site. From what I understand, one of them is, I guess, how do I put it? They try to give you the best options that will provide obviously the least amount of hangups or slow-ups on your site, and whatever your site would allow for. As far as maybe putting in a new access road around the building, if you have the land for it, that sort of thing. And then after that, they'll hold a meeting with us. They'll discuss kind of the engineering side of it. If it's something that we're going to take a step further, there's some, again, if you're putting in new road or whatnot, they would have to do soil samples, all that sort of thing. But that comes in the planning phase of it. In doing this is going to help us with some of the priority items that were identified on PSI's list as far as some of the safety concerns that we had at the middle school. And I think it's going to be extremely beneficial information for us to know what direction we need to go and what's going to yield the best return on that investment. Any questions? Nope.
When are they doing it?
Well, you guys got to approve it first. So it's the cost is listed on page 2. I think you guys should have that there in front of you.
So if they approve it tonight, then it's just, you'll It'll be this fall though, obviously?
Yeah, I could schedule it within probably 2 weeks, it could
Okay.
be out here. Correct, correct.
So what was, I don't see it. Where's the,
Bottom of 67.
Yep.
oh, page 67. God, I got this right. 14,035. I'm thinking, now, did we get a grant for something? Do we
I'm
have any-
sorry?
Didn't we get a grant for some safety study?
I'm unaware.
A
Did we
grant
get a
for
grant for a
safety
safety study?
Thought I read that earlier.
Yeah, there was a
We've had
grant.
some grants for some safety
Updates in the
Okay.
past, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is long overdue. That's been a problem site for as long
That's
as
what I
can
understand.
remember.
I mean, you know, being new to the community, it's not something I've really experienced, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been there in the morning, and I'm like, yeah, I can understand where the concern is coming from, for sure.
I think it got worse over COVID and during COVID and afterwards because more parents took their kids to school and it's more of an issue up there. than-
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ideally, everybody would take the bus. It'd make it a lot easier, but,
Yeah.
And we know a lot of people might have their own opinions on how it could be improved upon. But as we know, right, we want to go with truly an engineering service that does this for their profession and will be responsible, to be quite honest, to the recommendations. Instead of us being responsible for recommendations when we're not truly
Right.
an engineering service that would look at it from a civil engineering aspect.
correct.
Were you saying that they work to provide here's what you could do without much, I don't know how you define that, but modification or new,
They try to find a way for you to do it with the existing, like the existing footprint, let's say,
Right.
of your asphalt, and then with, I guess, a much more involved solution, which would, again, be adding maybe a service road that goes around the building, maybe a road that goes around the building and exit on West Street, I don't know, right? That would be up to them, where that would go and how that would look, as far as rerouting that traffic. So not everyone's having to come into that, one entrance on the west side.
Or even a separate set of entrances, one for buses, one for parents.
Correct.
Luckily, it's a village street, so more entranceways isn't gonna be an issue compared to a county highway or.
Yeah.
anecdotally, it's interesting to me that there's a crossing guard sort of in the middle of Graydon.
Mhm. Right where that sidewalk's at?
Yeah, the green circle in the middle.
Yep.
But there isn't one, further west.
On this end?
Right. And there is even further east.
Across over here by West Street in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the placement of the crosswalkers is not something, I guess, that I've ever looked at myself.
We encourage kids to go to those crosswalks
Yeah.
because there's less
And I
traffic.
think there's a lot that cross actually across that sidewalk there in the morning. So I think that's why that person is placed there. Obviously, I guess more crosswalk attendants would be nice, but
But that's where the sidewalks are, and you wanna keep them on the sidewalks
Yeah.
instead of on the road.
exactly.
I mean, there is is there not a crosswalk
There's one
there?
here.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, so there's
One
one
side-
here.
But
sidewalk.
then they're going across the driveway.
There's one
Yeah, there's
here.
no sidewalk
And
going
then
up to the high
this
school.
part here is probably the biggest
Yeah, there is.
The issue is when they go across that
Sidewalk goes
crosswalk,
up.
that's why we encourage
On
you
the road?
elsewhere, because then they're going across the driveway.
Correct. So if they
Which
cross
is the
over
driveway
there,
entrance of the buses to
On
go
the
to the
other
loop,
side, yeah.
and the driveway entrance of the cars to go in the loop.
yeah, so if they were to cross over here, they're right on the sidewalk straight up to the building.
Over here, though, you also, so the red is parents,
This is parent drop-off cars,
so they're
yep.
coming in and going out.
Right.
Yes.
And buses.
Yep, so
You
you
got
have
it.
cars going this direction, and coming in here.
It's a high amount of volume right there.
I mean, it's a
Along
it's a
with-
short flurry, but it's,
Along with Adam,
it's a flurry.
Yeah, and along with Adam, as you're saying, some kids walking across that volume.
Yeah, it's clearly a problem spot there. I could see why there's congestion and.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the safety. You get pedestrians, but even buses and.
Bike riders, I
Buses
mean.
and bike riders, buses and cars even.
Going to the right, right?
Things don't stop on a dime.
Exactly. They wanna drop the kids off at the elementary. and-
So if you guys approve, I'd be
Yeah, I've
interested
done
to
it.
see what they come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right?
Because I think there's, I mean, I think we have enough, and again, this is just my humble suggestion, I think we have enough land on this,
You gotta do something.
on the west side to do what we need to do, but
Exactly,
again, it'd be interesting to see what they come up
They'll
with.
probably suggest another set of entrances.
Yeah, that's what Be wise.
In the community, I know I've overheard people talking about
The middle school.
The middle school. Have you dropped off at middle school yet? Holy cow. So I know that it's
Yeah,
not just the administration that's
sure.
concerned.
I'd be curious if there's an I don't even know if this is a good idea, because
Sure.
I don't have the data to
Yep.
know that, but, you know, if an option is to look into Graydon being one way at certain times of the day, right?
That'd be a village question, but yeah, I mean, it's, we thought about that too. Like, maybe it's something as simple as putting signs on drop-offs that you only turn right, right? So you can only go east
Turning
when you
left
come out of
to
here
go to the
or
elementary
something,
school
you
is
know?
also a nightmare.
Like I said, that's why I think
And
it'd be
there's
very
trees and you
interesting to
can't
see
see.
kind of
You
what
have
they
to, like,
come
stick
back
your nose
with,
so far out to
as
just
far as
see.
suggestions are
And then
concerned
Jeremy pulls
on
them
how
over
to,
and
kind of alleviate that,
See
but
what happened the other day?
They're gonna have suggestions that'll result in us talking.
I
to
think
the
so.
village.
I mean,
Oh, for sure.
honestly, I wonder how much, like, again, this is not
Sure.
a vetted idea, but if you force the traffic east, it will have an impact on the traffic that goes west to turn south onto Town Line to get into the elementary schools. And that's not great either, if we're like, I mean, I don't know how many car accidents are there every year, but like, that's also not great. So I guess if we're gonna spend the money on something, and I'm not saying a full out, like,
Sure,
study is as important here.
Sure.
But I think that would be some really helpful, sort of like, keep it in the back of your mind, because,
Are you thinking that traffic flow change would create another traffic study
Right,
need
that's
at
what she's
Prairie
saying,
View?
is that
what
it
you're
could,
saying?
could result in
Potentially.
another conflict.
Sure.
Could be.
I mean, I'm
We don't know till we
suggesting
know,
that
but-
we think about how
Sure.
these modifications need
Would
to make
alter that.
sure that they aren't
It's a good point.
impacting that, or if anything,
Yeah.
maybe improving it, because that's, the intersection you can't see further west
Yep.
is also, is, it's not, that's not really a problem. There's a crossing guard there.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people trying to make really fast
Turn.
left-hand turns to beat cars to
Yeah.
get to the elementary school. I'm just saying, like, forcing traffic a certain direction could be very helpful for that also, is I
Sure.
guess what I'm trying to say.
Sure. I hope it doesn't create another problem.
Yeah, the
Well-
unintended consequences. of-
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly. But it's a
Never know.
possibility, right? We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So
and I'm not trying to be negative about it.
No, no,
I'm just
hey,
saying, like,
that's- It's real, that's real.
Would this company be talking to possibly to the police department, local police, since they're up there all the time, they see the
They
problems?
said, yeah, I
know?
mean, it depends on what they come back with, right?
Sure.
But they said that there would be some items that we probably would have to take to the village level and the town and kind of, here's kind of what was suggested.
but were you
and
saying they
see
may
what
have
they would
input
do.
as
They may
well?
have good
They may
input
also have
right up
input,
front,
yeah.
just what they see every day.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Recently, when we did the discussion with Adam, Jake, myself, Jeremy was there too. We
Okay.
were just having a discussion already about it, so, which has kind of led to these next steps.
Sure.
So this is the next step. If you guys approve.
Yeah, I mean, my hesitance is in, if we don't feel like we can do something about, I mean, information is great, and that's, of course, the first step. If we're not fairly, we don't know what the recommendations will be,
Yeah, if
right?
it's $1
But
million, probably not, but if it's something that can be done reasonably,
And I think that's the only way to really know, right, is to
Right.
have the study done and say, okay, here's the scope, like, here's what you need to do.
Yep.
Right, or here's a couple of options, and here's what option A costs, and here's what option B costs. I think either way, it's kind of a prerequisite to making that determination.
It's a good time for us to do it while looking at the scope of the whole district.
Correct.
please don't accidentally do it on a day that half the student body isn't here
Oh,
for some
no, it's gonna
reason.
be, we'll pick the busiest day.
They're
Yeah.
gonna do multiple days too, from what I read.
What was that,
They're
sorry?
gonna do it over multiple days, different days.
Yeah.
To get a better.
And it'll always be, like, they
Yes.
always check ahead of time
Yeah,
to make
so
sure
it's
that
not
it's.
one time. I
Correct.
read that. Where
That it's not a,
which I
half the building
appreciate.
is not at school or that type of thing.
Yeah.
Testing day.
Testing day, right, exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
do it while it's snowing, that'd be interesting.
Right, I just, I mean,
Yep. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the traffic flow study for the East Troy Middle School.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
You stay up here, Jake.
Yep. Next item, Facilities Subcommittee update per Director of Building and Grounds. That's Jake.
Whoops. That was me. Through my I did. Thank you. Thank you.
Mike? Okay.
The only thing, without the mic, Lauren, it doesn't go to the.
Nobody will hear me on.
Live stream.
All right. I'll be famous tonight, it's fine. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Just go ahead. All right, well, I appreciate everybody allowing me to come here tonight and provide a board update for you. Just, again, introductions for those of you who may not know who I am. My name is Lauren Wanner. I'm the Business Development Manager with Performance Services. I have part of our team that has been assisting and working with your district for the last couple years. We have Craig Stranathan. He's our senior architect. Mary Ann McMahon is one of our educational planning consultants. She has been assisting in some of our programming discussions with the district. Jim Beckman, another educational consultant, former facility director and board member. Terry Brown is our design build manager. Chris Staub, our project development engineer. Ben Huberty is our mechanical engineer. And then we have Doreen and Leanne. They are our communication specialists. So we wanted to come in tonight and provide a little bit of an update on behalf of what we've been doing with the district.
So we've been working on trying to kind of formulate our team, our lead project team, which we've been able to do. Part of this is kind of get everybody in the same room and kind of share go over the study that PSI did for us, I think 2 years ago now. Kind of go over those key findings and what solutions we can come up with. I wasn't here for the drone and aerial study, so I think that's just kind of a overall site study. Going over kind of our mechanical inventories, getting kind of age and useful life information off of those. Analyzing our utility costs. We've done a lot of things, implemented a lot of things, cost-saving measures. Off the top of my head, at the high school, we did institute the, what was it called, Data Wrangler for our energy use on 2 of our services there, which is starting to yield some savings. Small, at least initially. That's basically a shift of power usage. And then going over those the checklist and the priorities and how those items, those needs were prioritized and what, whether they're high, medium, or low, and maybe those have to be reassigned at some point, just based off the fact that it's 2 years ago. Financial cost estimates and summaries for all the recommendations. I think we just updated at least the budget numbers last month. So those numbers are all up to date. And yeah, next slide. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of additional things, as Jake mentioned. We have been working with the district for a couple of years now. We started our relationship back in, well, I actually had a relationship prior to working with PSI. I was worked with Bob Ellis, so I've been working with the district for a long time, but with PSI, we've been working with you all now for about 2.5 years. And a lot of time and a lot of efforts have gone into really understanding what the vision, what the goal, and what the mission for the East Troy School District is. So I'm really excited to still be a part of this relationship and continue on this journey with you. Our team, as I just kind of showed in the last screen, our architects, our engineers, our programming specialists, they have been really integral in understanding your buildings, getting into all of those spaces, and part of the task here and some of the things that we bulleted that we've accomplished is really helping to communicate what we see as kind of that third party to your community, right? We want to help bridge that gap of what you have here and what the community actually knows is going on. So all of this investigation and this planning, the facility study, the programming studies, all have aided into that list that Jake was talking about that we provided, which really does kind of assign a scope line item for the solutions that came out of the studies. As Jake also mentioned, we have updated all of those cost estimates, so those dollars are actualized in $24, and then we have built out some deferments so that you can all see what those projects, if you were just doing a one-for-one project, what that cost would look like. Just wanted to give a couple more things. Do you want me to go? Okay. So in the work that we have done with the district, these were the themes, the priority themes that came up as we were reviewing the study and what came out of those. So the 3 bulleted key priorities or themes that we were looking at were safety and security, facility condition priorities, and educational adequacy. So for safety and security, as Jake was just talking about, that traffic flow and site circulation definitely, involves safety and security. Secure entrance sequence, compartmentalized buildings, monitored doors with card access. Those are just a few of the bullet points that go into the areas of safety and security that we did look at and address in the study. Why? Well, obviously, safety and security has risen. There's different challenges that all school districts face, and so we need to make sure that we are not just addressing those facility conditions that might cause safety and security issues, but also looking at what we are actually living in now. So for facility conditions, that's what that facility study and the programming study, that's what we did that for. Those talk about the maintenance issues that are too large for your capital budget, the operational efficiencies that could come along with looking at improvements in different scope items, and then educational adequacy. Understanding how programming really does drive your solutions is what we are assigning or how we are addressing your educational adequacy. So looking at the number of students you have in your classroom, how large your classrooms are they too large, are they too small? Really understanding how does the flow of space work within your facilities so that we can address and kind of right size any of those programming needs if needed. So in part of our discussions and in the meetings that we have had with the district, I know most of you, I think, have had the pleasure of working with our full team. So Doreen and Leanne, we sat down with the district about a week or so ago and wanted to put together a checklist so that we could kind of bring it before the board and hopefully identify and clarify kind of those steps that are going into looking at these priorities. So we've addressed 5. Clarify the facts, build awareness, community engagement and input, propose a solution, and then inform the public. That ultimately could potentially lead to a vote. That's not at all where we are right now. We're still in that clarifying the facts and understanding where we are phase. So what does that mean, right? So as we're looking at clarifying the facts, who does that involve? And we've identified kind of the lead project team that is an internal project team that will gather and evaluate all relevant data, information about the district's needs, backgrounds, etc. The team that is comprised of the lead project team is going to be Dr. Hibner, Amanda Smith, Jake Hernandez, Amy Jenquin. That's from a district level. From PSI, we will have Craig Stranathan, our architect, myself, Doreen Dembski, and Leanne. and any other experts as needed. So that'll be the core team, and we do plan on meeting on a bi-weekly basis, so we're going to meet twice a month. We will update facility studies in the programming study, review the present financial projections, consider all other factors affecting facilities work and present information to a Citizens Advisory Committee for recommendations, and ultimately to the Facilities Subcommittee and the full Board of Education. So all of the work that will be done in kind of this first phase is really about understanding the whys, the whats, the wheres, and the hows, right? We need to clarify all of that information and make sure that that's accurate so that when we do bring that back to the subcommittee and then to a full board, you have all the information. Anything, Jake, to add there?
No.
Okay.
Perfect.
Second step is really building that awareness. So again, who does that involve? That's district with support from PSI. Why are we doing this step? Well, this is really to seek that input, and build engagement, right? So from all of the fact clarification, now we really need to understand and try and decipher what that means. So the district's ongoing communication with staff and key communicators, use the existing channels of communication to build awareness of the district's needs, contributing factors, and the problem-solving process. So this is really, okay, we know what we know. Now how are we going to inform people, and how are we going to let them know what the needs are, right? So we need to really build that awareness. Community engagement and input. So school board, review and establish the board's desired level of community input. The facilities subcommittee stated that they would create a citizens advisory committee to honor the community engagement process when they are deployed. So again, extremely important, the critical piece, right, is making sure that the board is communicating with your community members and your constituents and making sure that all questions that they may have are going to be answered. District and PSI obviously supporting that engagement process with public information throughout the entire attempt. The Citizens Facility Advisory Committee, this group is going to meet once per month for about an hour and a half to 2 hours through starting in November and December and ending either in March or April. We think it's extremely important that this group understands kind of what their role and initiative is. And so setting what the guidelines and the time commitment is, I believe will help with gaining and really receiving more input and hopefully more volunteers. So we seek to have representatives from various stakeholder groups. We have a list identified that we'll share with the district of kind of those different stakeholders in your community that we are looking for to gain input. We want a wide variety of people in your community so that we are hearing from all different aspects. This team will include Dr. Hibner, Amanda, Jake, Amy, Craig, Lauren, Doreen, Leanne, and again, when needed, appropriate building and district personnel. Board and district leadership. Consider a survey if appropriate or other community input processes to gather more information to assist with further discussion and decision making. Again, wanting to include and understand what the thoughts and reactions of your community is extremely important. So if that leads into a survey, we would definitely want to understand what that looks like. Excuse me. And then number 4, we are looking to propose a solution. So based now on all of the information and the facts that have been gathered, we can look at all the identified data and bring that back to the school board and the project team. Excuse me. So we will be looking at all data gathered from all the different sources and outlets that we have been collecting throughout the process. So the facility and programming study, the financial advisory committee, community input, the citizens advisory committee and survey results, potential project scope and estimates. Sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat. It's been a long day of talking for me. Usually I don't have this issue. Also reviewing potential project scope and estimates. So we will analyze possible solutions, and then the Board of Education will and must decide on and propose a referendum question. Again, that has to be 70 days before a vote. So if you are looking at moving into a referendum, we just have to understand that timeline. All right.
I think Mark's gonna go get you some water.
I would appreciate it. All right, inform the public. All hands on deck. So this is when, you know, all of that information has been deciphered, identified, and we are ready to make that decision, take it to the public. So we are looking for all board members, community members, administration, Citizens Advisory Committee, and our team at PSI. Implementation of a strategic public information campaign about the ballot proposal. And again, facts campaign can include all of these things in addition to more or less, right? We really want to value whatever the board is going to receive. So we will definitely be in communication with the board as far as what does that community engagement look like, what does that fact campaign look like, and how do we go about getting that done. Again, critical component of any successful campaign is making sure your community is involved, right? And as community members, you know your town better than anyone, so really helping spread that word, try and gain volunteers is going to be extremely crucial and helpful. Here's a milestone timeline. If there is a November 2024 election that you will have a resolution or a referendum question on. So really, if you're looking at November to next October or November 5th, we have plugged in kind of what that timeline looks like for all of the different milestones that I just went over. So clarifying the facts, you know, November through kind of February. And again, this is loose. It's dependent upon each district. Thank you. I appreciate that. Much better. So although this is, we're trying to put it into a timeline for you, again, these are not set in stone. These are just kind of the guidelines and the markers for us. So we have clarifying the facts. That means understanding the solution, examining the different possible solutions, prioritizing those, gaining the consensus from your Citizens Facility Advisory Committee, planning for community engagement and building awareness. Those are kind of in tandem together, right? Implementing that community engagement, having your Citizens Advisory Committee come back before the board and report the information that they have gathered and that they have learned through their process, utilizing and inputting that final information into a proposal. Surveys in there, again, if selected by the board. If you do choose to go to a survey, obviously taking a look and identifying what results came out of that and how to move forward is part of that input and finalization. And then that pre-referendum communication is really that campaign, right? So that's when we really want to get out into your community. Not that we won't be doing that the entire time, but now we are really just focused solely on that campaign, right? All the information and work has been done. There's a resolution on the ballot. And now we have about 70 days where we're going to go and really hit the streets and make sure that everybody turns out on November 5th to vote. A little bit of information we thought might be helpful for the board on the Citizens Facility Advisory Committee. And again, we've talked through this with the district, so this is something that has been discussed and deciphered together. The role and the purpose: to add community perspective to the facility planning process, as recommendations are formulated for a long-term facility solution, which may include a referendum question. Okay, that would be the role and the purpose. Membership: a cross-representative group of school district residents, plus the lead project team, and in addition, any other necessary personnel at needed times. I want to stress that the board is definitely invited to attend all of these meetings. You know, you are community members, and I think having the boards present there, although you're not there to participate necessarily in the work that the group is doing, maybe listening or hearing, just want to make sure that everybody knows that it is something that we invite you to. The commitment, it's approximately 3 or 4 times that this committee will meet, about 1.5 to 2 hours per meeting, in November, December, January, February, March, and then April if needed, to really help identify the priorities of a facility plan. And then the board's role is to honor that process, first by listening, and then by considering the input for final decision making. So that's a lot of information. I'll go ahead and pause there, open it up. Jake, is there anything that you wanted to add that I missed?
No, I think you covered it well. Okay. I think the formulation of that Facilities Advisory Committee is going to be crucial to getting the buy-in from the community. I think that, you know, making sure that the representatives of that group are picked from a wide variety of you know, people come from different walks, right? You have kids in school, or maybe your kids are out of school, or you know, you're part of the population that does no longer have children in school. I think it's critical that we involve as many people as possible. We want people to have some pushback, a little bit of pushback, right? Like, well, maybe we need to do this, or maybe it's something where we need to shift our focus a little bit. So I think making sure that when we get that representative group, it truly is representative of many of the stakeholders in this community.
Questions from the
Questions?
board about timeline or kind of next steps as we are working through this? One thing I forgot to mention, thank you, is we conducted the programming meetings. Our team has gone through and I think done kind of an update cursory of the facilities. That'll be ongoing with Jake, obviously, as he is newer to the district. He has a clean and fresh set of eyes. So he's already been helping us identify either things that haven't been assigned or identified on the list. And in addition to the programming meetings that we had earlier or later last year, we'll be doing kind of another round of an update, right? So we want to make sure that the information that we received from your staff last year is still valid, but also taking into consideration that you had some turnover in your district. We really would like to make sure that everybody feels heard, and that they have an opportunity to speak if they would like to. So we'll help and send out the messaging to your district so that everybody knows when we'll be on site. And then we will host kind of another round or two of programming meetings, like I said, where we will kind of update and confirm the information that came out of last time's programming meetings. Well, this was an easy group for me. Oh, there's Anna. Okay.
If I understood correctly, you've already revisited some of the previous work and recosted some things. When can that information be shared with the board just to start to look at and kind of understand?
The CPI list, I'm prepared to, we can share that now.
Okay.
Yep. Again, there's probably still a few line items that need to be
Yeah.
added into that CIP list. The estimates have been updated. We updated those our team, they updated those about a month ago. So the numbers are reflective of what they should be now. Anything additional, I think we added a few things, but there's still some additional items that we've been alerted to and notified that need to still be added to that list and assigned. So nothing huge or major, but definitely there will still be some things that are coming onto that list. But right now, as it sits, it has current estimated information for you.
How big of a citizens advisory committee do you typically see in a community our size?
That's a great question. Again, it goes to kind of the initiative and the work, and really, quite frankly, how you are going to be promoting this work in this group. So how we would help identify that is obviously to figure out what kind of marketing tools and how we want to release this. So we've talked about putting something in the newspaper, sending out a press release. Direct mailers have been brought up. I don't think that that's been decided upon. Radio advertisements. So we definitely want to make sure that everyone knows about this group and has the opportunity to attend and sign up. It's not a board committee, so it really truly is a citizens advisory committee. Anyone can come, anyone can participate, anyone can speak. So hopefully we'll have the same core people attend every meeting. That's going to be one of the requirements, hopefully, that are established right away. I would say in a community your size, again, every community is different. I would love to see, 20, 25. I think that would be a really healthy, productive group that would get a lot of conversation going, but wouldn't maybe overwhelm so that people don't feel heard. Anytime we see like over 30, that's where we start to feel that maybe some people don't feel as heard or valued because you just don't have the opportunity to speak as much. So limiting it to about 20 is an ideal crowd for this size. But again, all are welcome.
One of the things too, just so the community's aware, it will be updated, so please don't take it as it's finalized, because we just talked about updating the project list. But the original project list that was identified in the fall of 2022.
Correct.
That is available on the website. So it's on the facilities planning. So there's operational planning, and then there's facilities planning. So it's right on, if you go to the Board of Education component, underneath that, there's a facilities planning subtopic. And you can look at that, and that has all of the past of 2022 needs. Now, again, I'll tell you, right, there's been new needs identified since then, and obviously, we're doing work on making sure of the estimates and everything at the time.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to say that some of those needs have been taken care of, so
Yeah.
there is some of that work that's come off of that list too. So,
That's right.
you know, yes, there's some stuff that was, I guess, missed initially, or maybe just wasn't even looked at initially, that has to be added. But yeah, we have taken a few items off that list as well. Kind of some of the low-hanging fruit, but it's good to get it off the list. Any more questions?
If a citizen does want to become involved, I would imagine that the communications that do go out, when they go out, will have that information, but do you know at this point who to contact, how to get a hold of the people that will be involving and maybe starting to build a list?
Yes, we actually have a meeting this Thursday with the district, and so that information kind of, the checklist, if you will, or kind of the information about the Citizens Advisory Committee, we will be putting that all together this Thursday. And then hopefully, once it's finalized, Dr. Hibner can share that out with the board for approval if need be.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And if there's input, if you guys, have input, or if there's things that you'd like to see, we welcome that. So any ideas or things that you want to make sure are talked about in these discussions, obviously it's citizen-led, but we can definitely provide some guidance, and we can give some prompting questions if they're stuck on something. So, all right.
All right.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Jake.
All right, next item, Start College Now and Early College Credit Program request for the second semester for 23-24 school year.
Okay, we'll try this one. How about now? Yeah. We good now? Okay. Page 68 of your packet. So this is the time that we look at the applications that have come forward for either early college credit programming or Start College Now for second semester of this school year. We do not have any early college credit requests, but we do have some Start College Now requests. So those requests are made from 11th and 12th graders. As a reminder, a student can engage in 18 credits between those two programs that is paid by the district. And we are seeking approval of student applications for the following. We have 4 students who are seeking approval for participation in the American Sign Language courses through Gateway's Vanguard program. Our students participate in that program virtually on site here and attend the Gateway program virtually. 7 students are seeking approval for participation in the Certified Nursing Assistant program that's offered through Gateway at East Troy High School. 6 students are seeking approval to enroll in coursework through Start College Now. Requested coursework includes medical terminology, financial analysis, accounting, micro and macroeconomics, marketing principles, selling principles, promotion principles, digital marketing, spreadsheets for business, marriage and family, abnormal psychology, hazardous materials chemistry, fire behaviors and combustion, and automotive coursework. And then we have 1 student who is seeking approval for participation in the Gateway Welding Academy. Any questions?
I move the approval of the students listed for Start College Now courses beginning in spring of 2024.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Overnight field trips.
So you have the one for FFA in your packet.
Yep.
That's the annual,
Excuse me. That's from Katie Vacula for the annual FFA conference, coming up in mid-November. All of our information should be included.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the overnight field trip for the National FFA Convention and Expo.
I will also second that.
Discussion?
Nope.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Stacy.
There's an,
Oh, you got
Second
another
one?
one?
we also have the National FFA
There's the National FFA conferences.
There's a
and then the
National
Expo.
FFA Convention and Expo and National FFA Conference. And they have different dates and they're in different places, so I think it's two.
Two, both for
Yeah.
FFA. I'm sorry, I should have done those
Okay.
together.
You're right.
Do you want me to amend?
Or just make another motion to
Who
approve.
made the motion?
I made the one. So you can just make a second one for.
Okay. I move the approval of the National FFA Conference, November 16th through 17th, overnight field trip.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Summer School 23 enrollment report.
So each September, we work on the report for DPI that requires us to report attendance for summer school, and then through a formula, it creates an FTE for the district. So summer school is actually the beginning of the school year, and the FTE that is created is added to the district's aid membership along with other factors, and it's used in calculation of state aid, essentially. So if you look, starting on page 80, I have outlined the summer school enrollment from 2019 to our current, I'm sorry, that should say 2023 at the top. So what's interesting is summer school 2019 was pre-COVID. And so you see that our FTEs were around 37, and then we have this drop off. So summer school 2020, which if you remember was virtual, our total FTEs dropped to 15. Since COVID, we have not had success in picking back up to the original pre-COVID numbers, although you will see an increase a little bit. So we went from 15 in 2021, we went to 25. In 2022, we went to 22. If you remember around that time, we were having a really difficult time getting staff, and we had surveyed staff about that, and the response was they're just tired, right? They just needed their summer to recharge, and that's still kind of where we are. So summer school 2023, we offered 23 elementary courses in comparison, I'm just gonna do to the prior year, in comparison to 19. That was, we were able to bring back the reading and math support courses. So another little walk down memory lane, in 2022, we didn't have anyone that was interested in teaching the reading and math support, and so we only did exploratory courses. We were able to bring them back in 2023. However, I would note that they did not fill up. So there were several of them that ran only 1 or 2 sections simply because we didn't have the students enroll as we had hoped. This year we had 8 courses offered at the middle school in comparison to 12 last year. Our middle school attendance or enrollment, I should say, dipped this year. So last year, we had more students at middle school take advantage of the courses that were offered. This year, we even extended registration an additional 2 weeks in hopes that we would have more middle school students enroll. Last year, we offered 8 high school courses, and in 2023, we also offered 8. So this year, we had 349 resident students enrolled in comparison to 419 the year before. We had 21 non-resident students enroll in comparison to 25. So we are about we're 4 off in FTE. In 2022, we had 22 FTE, and this year we have 18. Any questions? We'll begin the process for summer school 2024 in December. So that's when I start to build our staff. And so that eventually, essentially that goes out to all of our current staff in East Troy and also anyone that has taught summer school in the past here. So we have many teachers who do not teach with us during the school year, but do teach as part of our summer school program. And so all of those individuals are contacted for interest in 2024. And we will be posting again on WeCan to see if we can get additional courses offered at each level.
Do you think it is primarily the number of courses affecting the student enrollment, or are there other factors?
It's hard because, so it's different at each level. So at Little Prairie, our courses filled up in literally 5 days. So anyone that did not register in the first week of enrollment this year they got put on a waiting list. So I would say there's a greater demand at the elementary level for summer school courses. So if that will be my focus, if I'm able to increase programming at elementary, I think it will directly impact that FTE because those are the students that tend to take advantage of the courses.
Sure, that makes sense.
We tend to see this drop off at secondary.
Yep.
But your challenge of increasing the programming at the elementary will be whether or not you can find the staffing.
Correct.
For the programming.
Yes.
Because we've never been able to really rebound from the
From
time of
COVID.
2019.
Yeah, from 37
prior-
down to 23.
Pre-COVID.
Yes.
When we had such high, and honestly, in summer 2019, that was like the highest. We had summer school, we'd put so much efforts into previous years, right, to build our summer school up. If you all recall, we said we want to really expand our elementary level offerings. And look at the impact it had. I mean, we were at 699 resident students enrolled, which equated to 37 total FTEs, right? Because obviously they're not full-time FTEs when you're getting into summer school. But anyways, then COVID hit the following March and spring, and then we went virtual, and it's been trying to build up ever since then, and not only on regards to getting students back in, then we ran into the new challenge, and the new challenge has been, ever since, it's been staffing, right? And now you talk about the labor market and everything else that's going on, it's even a new challenge, so.
Yeah. And we're competing, you know, I post on WeCan along with every other director in the area, so it's a limited pool. I'm just hoping that here, we offer people too the opportunity to be creative, right? So if they are coming with an interest, if something that would be good for kids to explore, like we do allow that. We do kind of engage in that thought process about new and exciting, different exploratory options for kids. But yes, the focus will be to further build up that elementary because that's where the demand is.
And I think in comparison, one other thing I'd point out is that obviously non-resident students like what we're offering, right? That at one point in time, if you go back to 19, we had 0 non-resident students, even though we had such a huge influx of resident students participating, right? But we had 0 non-residents back in 19, and we've had anywhere from 30, 33, 25, 21 since then of non-resident students. So kids outside of our district are very interested now in our summer school offerings.
Okay, thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Next item, Chromebook workshop course for trimester 2 at the East Troy Middle School.
So that's also me. Begins on page 82 of your packet. So I believe it was the last meeting, we had some public participation regarding the study halls at the middle school, and we heard some concerns about students in study halls that shouldn't be or don't need to be, et cetera. So in trying to problem solve that for trimester 2, I wanted to let you know that we have a course that will be offered. So this course is coming from a course that was previously offered actually through our summer school. It was called Tech Kids. It has not run in a few years, but that served as the foundation for this course. And essentially what it will be is an opportunity to use technology in a workshop format. It's going to include hands-on interactive projects, and kids are going to learn more about the Google apps that are available to them on their Chromebooks. So starting in 6th grade, students start to take their Chromebooks home with them. And so the conversation has been, do they fully know how to access and effectively use to their advantage all of these apps? And so that's things such as Google Keep, Calendar, Gmail, Photos, Drawings, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Sites, etc. And so Tracy Fridley, who is teaching science but also has a background in computers and business, will be teaching this course, and it's going to allow us to not have study halls. So the class is designed for the East Troy Middle School students 6th through 8th. The hope is that we'll be grouping all of the 6th graders together, as we know that knowledge of these things have increased in 7th and 8th grade. And then I've included the outline of the content. So it's built upon information technology standards, things like empowering learners, digital citizenship, constructing knowledge, innovative designs, computational thinking, and creative communication will be included in this exploratory course.
Okay, well, sounds great. Looks to be a good option. Anybody have any questions on it? Okay, thanks, Amy. Early graduation request.
That'll be, we'll move into executive session for that.
Okay, reports.
I've got a couple. Strategic priorities, I just want to provide an update, and that is at the next board meeting in November, which will be held at Prairie View. All of us from a district level and building level will report out on the 4 strategic priorities within, from a district level lens and each building level lens. So we'll be reporting out on, as you know, we report out 3 times. So this will be now about what our focus will be coming into this year for strategic priority, how to enhance learner empowerment, how to enhance healthy organizational culture, how to enhance communication and engagement at district level to building levels. And then we'll also be reporting out on the 4th strategic priority, which is the efficiencies from a district level lens to supporting the first 3 strategic priorities, and how are we maximizing resources throughout the district towards doing that. So it'll involve a variety of people. Obviously, all building level principals will be involved in that, reporting that out at their building levels. But that'll be done in November, and again, then a reminder in March, probably, April possibly, we come back and we report out on how things are going, right? So progress monitoring in regards to that. And then when we get into July, we'll be back with the board in July, reporting out on how the year went in those 4 strategic priorities. And then once again, using that data and information toward determining in the following October, November again, what will be our focus areas in the same strategic priorities, but just a different focus area, but same priorities. So that'll be coming in November. The other thing, on the budgeting, Amy will report out next, so I don't want to talk about that, but if people are wondering about when we're going to report out on some of the standardized assessments and report card, she'll get into that, which board meeting we're going to be doing that too, so you have a timeline for what's coming up at what board meetings. The second thing I wanted to hit on was just the budgeting, 24-25 assumptions and spectrum activity, which you've done for numerous years now. And that assists us, right? And within your packet, I just provided the 22-23 one. That is not a new one that you're did not become aware of. So if you recall, administration does it, the board does it, we bring them together. And it's just a good analysis, right, to allow us, to assist us in regards to some of the assumptions that should go into some of the preliminary budgeting assumptions, right? So as Amy's going to like Baird model workshops, which are probably gonna be coming up in November, I would imagine, right, Amy? In other things, she needs to throw assumptions into those, right? And so it helps when we're just not, you know, coming up with assumptions ourselves in regards to, let's have this be salary, let's have this be for the benefit, let's have this be for enrollment, let's have this be for what we think inflation will be. This is what we think for the budget. Now, the budget will be a little, state budget I'm talking about, a little simpler, right? Because we'll be going into the second biennial, so we know the 325 again per pupil, so that makes life a little easier that we're not speculating 0, 100, 200, 400, and if you notice, I tried to go high there, wanting more always. But it really does help a lot. So a lot of them are unknown, but from the board's level, it helps us to know from your guys' lens, on average, where did you fall for how you want us to address enrollment, open enrollment, those type of things. So we can begin to put some assumptions that have some correlation into the formulas. So we can start looking at whether or not, where do we fall for projected surpluses to projected deficits. And then obviously we have the 3 million operational referendum now for the next 2 years after this year. So how does that assist and support within those, within that? So that'll, I wanted to bring that up due to the fact, I believe in November sometime, you guys will be getting that spectrum activity to utilize and to provide us the necessary information back. All right. That's it for me.
Okay. Amy?
For the business manager report, I will provide a summary on our September pupil count. The pupil count always starts with students in seats, and there is a summary in your packet on page 87. So the head count, so all the students present in our district, was 1,416. We are down 31 students from the previous year, although it is less of a decline from 21 to 22, which was 57. So it's still a decline, but not as much. Next is open enrollment in. Those students are in our seats, but they are not residents, so they are subtracted from our head count for the pupil count. And for open enrollment in, we had 118 students. That is down 15 from the previous year. And then open enrollment out is added back in for the pupil count for the revenue limit purposes. We had 299 students open enrolled out. That is up 10 from the previous year. And then those students, our 4K students, count for revenue limit purposes as 0.6 FTEs. Preschool students count as 0.5. So our total pupil count is converted to FTEs, and for 23-24, it was 1,564 resident FTEs, which was down 7 from the previous year. And from 21 to 22, it was down 34. So there again, it is down slightly, but not as much as the previous year. And that 1564 is placed in the revenue limit, as well as 40% of our summer FTEs. And this year there was also an independent charter school. So for our revenue limit, the total FTE was 1,572. And the revenue limit uses a 3-year average of those for aid purposes. And the next page in the package has a more detailed, it goes grade by grade of how the pupil count was calculated. Are there any questions?
You think the decline is leveling off, or what's your opinion on that?
I think there's still unfortunately a decline, just overall birth rates are still declining. There's still a lot of open enrollment. Parents have a lot of choices on how to educate their students. Homeschool numbers are still rather high. So unfortunately, I do think it will continue to decline, but hopefully not as much. I think the COVID years had a significant impact on the decline as well. So hopefully it'll level out at this point.
Can I check if I'm reading this right, Amy?
Sure.
On page 88, the fourth column in black ink from the left that says head count. Right?
Yes.
So that's saying our full-day kindergarten cohort was 94, right?
That's correct.
And our seniors, our 12th graders, that class is 129.
That's correct, yes.
So, I mean, there's a lot of numbers in between, but, and there are some kind of ups and downs a little bit, but I guess I would just call that out, right? Our biggest group right now is our senior class.
Yes, that's a good point.
And, 94 kindergartners coming in. So, in overall, it's just, this is sort of the trend
Yeah.
we've been on,
But that's
in
al-
general,
but That's always been kind of that way, the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Because of the other parochial schools that don't
True.
have high school that.
True,
there's
so we
always
get
that
some
difference.
back, which you
Yep.
can kind of see, like, the older grades get a little bit bigger, but you
Mhm.
still wonder, are they ever really gonna match the top end number that we once had, right? Like, in general, it seems like the group is still going to be smaller, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's where community growth comes in.
Right.
You're right. I mean, if you go back and look, I don't have that enrollment sheet with me. I've looked at it numerous times, and if you go back and look at the elementary numbers just a decade ago, and we were not into the 86s, 83s, 94s. We were in the hundreds, right? And that was at that, and that was at that level. And then at the high school levels, we were
It
in
would
the-
get bigger,
We were in
right.
the 150s and 160s, right? And so, hence why the decrease over time of literally, I think, don't quote me on this, but I'd want to go back and look, but, I mean, at one time, we were 1,600 easily, 1,650, I believe, within the last, 15 years. So in the last 15 years, it's 1,650 to 1,416 or so. So. when you
Yeah, I
look
mean,
at
I
it
think
across the board-
2000, 2001, it was like 17 something, and that was the peak, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
that
that
was-
was,
that was
that
the
was
peak,
literally
yeah.
the peak,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that, I believe, one of the highest peaks we had was, in 6, 7, 7, 8, and that was I would caution people on that, right, because that was the first year of 4K.
Right.
Oh, sure,
And
which
that's,
adds to it too.
if without 4K comparison then to the previous year,
Mhm.
it was already starting to decline, right? So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this, I've only done this 3 times now, but every time, I remain perplexed by our open enrollment out, and I know there's a lot of factors, but I still want to know more, want to understand more about those kids, those families, those folks who are choosing something else, And I know we survey, and so we know, but we don't know from everyone, because not everybody takes the survey, so. Okay.
Yeah, we just did this, we did the survey again, and yeah, we haven't got the results back yet, but Amanda just sent that out.
Okay, any other questions for Amy? All right. Amy F.
As Chris mentioned, I think we're going to do a forward exam, and then this is the time of year that we begin to talk about district and school report cards. So forward exam data, or I should say, state assessment data, which includes forward, pre-ACT, and ACT. The individual scores have been provided to families, and that information then is compiled and used as part of the district and school report cards. So district and school report cards are set to be released by the state in mid to late November. And then as a result, we will be presenting each building's report card and the district report card at the December board meeting. So that's typically the pattern that we have followed the past few years. So there will be more information coming in December regarding performance on those assessments and overall as a district.
All right. And Amanda's not here. I have nothing, and no policy and review. Communications announcements.
Yeah, I have a couple. My first one is, and it's in your packet, I wanted to read, usually, comes from a support staff, a staff retirement. It does not need board approval, but I thought due to the fact of the individual that is seeking the retirement and that the individual has worked for our district for 30 years, I absolutely wanted to make an executive decision, read it, and acknowledge and offer great gratitude to this person. So it says, to Dr. Hibner, Mr. Trindle, and Ms. Jequin, please accept this letter as my notice of retirement. I don't think there would ever be a good time during the school year for me to plan on when to retire. The East Troy Community School District has been a great place to work with terrific staff these past 30 years. I have enjoyed and appreciate my second home at the middle school. I think that says a lot right there. It will be difficult to say goodbye, but I feel it is time. Kind regards, Colleen Nathan. Colleen is our administrative assistant at the middle school, as she stated. She's been there for over 30 years. I've had the good fortune then of working with her for 17 of those 30 years. And when Colleen told me, it was very emotional for her, and I can respect that so greatly. And it was emotional to hear her say that, due to the fact she has been an integral part of the middle school on helping students, helping staff, doing the schedule, so much. Well beyond what people know an administrative assistant of any degree does from day to day. I would say that administrative assistants are the department of first impressions, because they are usually the first individual that somebody is seeing. And I will say Colleen has done an extraordinary job of being the department of first impressions when somebody has a question or comes in and needs assistance. So I wish Colleen the very best. I know it was a hard decision. I wish you the utmost promise and wonderful happiness in your future endeavors. And if you ever feel that you miss it enough that you need a little bit to be around staff or possibly even just chaos, no, the door is always welcome. The door is always open. So with that, I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, and I felt she deserved to have that attention brought to her.
Definitely.
Thank you.
My second thing is, I just wanted to, and Ted had stated earlier, just bring forth informational. East Troy All Sports Boosters had submitted a letter just acknowledging the information, what they provide through the All Sports Boosters to the East Troy Community School District, and I can't thank them enough and appreciate their efforts too. And that goes along with so many other boosters that we have in our district that provides assistance and support to the various clubs and activities. But in this one, it says, Dear Dr. Hibner, the East Troy All Sports Booster Club is pleased to provide you with the following list of donations the club has provided to various East Troy High School sports programs, students, and to the community organizations during the 22-23 school year. School programs and activities were scholarships in the amount of $4,950 were paid out to the 2022 recipients and $5,000 promised to the 2023 class. Senior Sports Awards Banquet, they've donated $435 toward. Post-prom, $50 spirit wear donation, and the FBLA, $300 was donated towards the Halloween bash. Community organizations, they donated to the Kiwanis Club concession, to the Kiwanis Club concession help of $1,600. In the multi-sports school property, sports teams, school clubs earned volunteer funds in the amount of $10,276 from Stein's fundraiser. Scoreboard of $6,000 annual payment they provide. Football, $4,900 towards helmets. Baseball, $960 towards uniforms. And softball, $598 towards pants. Totaling $35,071 in the 22-23 school year from the East Troy All Sports Boosters. So in just the 22-23 school year alone, $35,071 through all their various activities they provide. So not only thanking them for their donations, obviously, towards assisting, but it takes work and effort of different activities to come up with the funds for those donations. So it's volunteering time to have those funds then to donate back to the school district. So I just want to say thank you to the All Sports Boosters Clubs for all of their work, donation, time, volunteering, and assisting us with providing the students of East Troy with what, honestly, I feel they deserve. And that is some, quality facilities, quality athletic apparel, and just quality programs and opportunities. So thank you to all of them for their efforts.
Okay. Any future items? Anybody have anything? Okay. Then I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session for discussion of consideration of early graduation request as provided under State Statute 118.125, 19.851B, and 19.851C.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We are in closed session.